Idris Elba has decided to no longer describe himself as a black actor. Yikes. This is a little different, but I told y'all there would be several videos in honor of Black History Month, and they would definitely outlast the month. He's not getting away with this shit during Black History Month, so let's talk about Mr. Elba. In an interview with Esquire magazine, he said, "I stopped describing myself as a black actor when I realized it put me in a box. As humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations, hinder people's growth. Racism should be a topic for discussion, sure. Racism is very real, but from my perspective, it's only as powerful as you allow it to be. We've got to grow. Our skin is no more than that. It's just skin." Because we live in a time of sound bites and quotes taken out of context, most people heard about this and went crazy. It blew up on Twitter and most were not even responding to the whole quote. Most heard and were responding to the "I'm not a black actor" part. Well, that is the least important thing he said in this interview. You thought I was going to say it wasn't as bad as it was, didn't you? However, if the quote above triggers you, I wouldn't recommend looking up the whole thing. Idris would go on to say in that interview, as you get up the ladder, you get asked what it's like to be the first black to do this or that. Well, it's the same as it would be if I were white. It's the first time for me. I don't want to be the first black. I'm the first Idris.
I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay.
Once Elba got wind of the backlash, he tweeted this response: "There isn't a soul on this earth that can question whether I consider myself a black man or not. Being an actor is a profession, like being an architect. They are not defined by race. However, if you define your work by your race, that's your prerogative." I think it's time to take a trip down memory lane to understand a little bit more about why these comments are an issue. First off, who is Idris Elba? Idris is an actor, DJ, rapper, and singer. He made the Time 100 list in 2016. Now for the rest of this video, I need y'all to keep something in mind. I'm talking about success in his career. I am not talking about his talent as an actor. He is an amazing actor and has been, in my opinion, since the first time I saw him. Films that Idris is a credited actor in have grossed over $11 billion at the global box office, including over $5 billion in North America and over $700 million in the UK. I'll get to why I singled out both of these markets later. Two caveats to those numbers. One, I had to manually add the global gross, and it got tedious around about the 10 billion mark. So I took the places that grossed over 100 million that were left and added them to the total, which got me over the $11 billion point. It may be 12 billion, but I doubt it's 13 billion. Two, we have to keep in mind that this is not a direct indicator of an actor's star power. In Idris's case specifically, he's a relatively small part of the MCU, and the movies he was in from that franchise inflate his global number by over $6 billion. Now, why did I single out the US and UK markets? To make a point that the United States is the movie capital of the world. There were many people under his Twitter posts trying to defend against a major point. Idris's career took off, in part, because he is a black actor. The defenders were trying to compare the US and UK markets, as to say he was always big in the UK. As stated before, the UK movie market and TV market pale in comparison to the American one. I couldn't tell you the reason why, but if I had to guess, I'd say it had something to do with the sheer difference of population size. The US population is almost 5 times bigger, but market size aside, was Idris big before The Wire? The answer is no. About the role of Stringer Bell, Idris said, "At the time, it was a small role in a TV show. It was a massive opportunity for A, me to come out of poverty, and B, be seen on an HBO show. The Wire debuted in the year 2002. Before this, Idris acted in 3 films. He had low billing in 2 of them, and both of those were box office bombs. I can't even find information on the 3rd one. As far as TV, he was in around 20 shows before The Wire. His most extensive work was 12 episodes of a 62-episode show called Dangerfield. Now, it's possible that he was popular in the UK before The Wire, but by his own words, I knew I wasn't going to land a lead role. I knew there wasn't enough imagination in the industry for me to be seen as a lead. In other words, if I wanted to be a star in a British drama like Luther, then I'd have to go to a country like America. He made this statement about 7 years ago at an event about the lack of diversity in British TV. Maybe this is the first sign that his current perspective is flawed. Maybe he used the evidence that was at his disposal to deduce that America was more diversity inclusive. That's a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down, but what I will offer is the fact that the American system was further along than the British one overall. Also, there were, and probably still are, exponentially more opportunities for everyone, period, in the US than the UK. Remember the part that I said about his career taking off in part because he was a black actor? Well, after The Wire, Idris's profile increased. The show ended in 2004. In 2005, he was a part of an ensemble cast for the movie The Gospel, which brought in $15 million off a budget of $4 million. Now, that's not huge, but remember that his pre-Wire movies failed to recoup their budgets. In 2007, Idris starred alongside Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry film Daddy's Little Girls. That brought in $31 million on a budget of $10 million. That year, he also got second billing on the movie This Christmas, which brought in over $49 million on a budget of $13 million. His increasing status and box office are directly attributed to his performance in the role of Stringer Bell. A small tidbit as well is that these movies I just mentioned are all made by people who still proudly refer to themselves as black filmmakers. I digress. Now, yes, Idris's star kept rising, but again, what formed that star was him being a black actor, specifically being a black American actor. Wait, what? Yeah, the only reason he got to the stage after meeting with the casting director for The Wire is that he agreed to lie and say that he was from the United States of America. I can't make this shit up. Because the creator of the show set the show in Baltimore, the casting director thought the creator wanted to cast an American for the part. Idris recalls, Alexa Fogel was the casting director that was really into seeing new talent. She said, I love you. I gotta bring you into this audition, but you have to promise that you can't tell him you're from East London. Interestingly enough, there is a debate about black actors from the UK getting roles over black actors from the United States. But again, I'm not going there. I don't really engage in oppression Olympics. So what am I saying? Number one, Idris kinda owes his career to being a black actor. We can go down the what ifs all we'd like, but we don't have to deal in hypotheticals when we have a real world example and real world data. Number two, the idea that actors are marginalized because they identify as black, which is the natural conclusion of the thought that he put out, is, for lack of a better term, asinine. If a particular director has a strong preference against under 6 foot tall men with softer torsos for his leads, it doesn't matter if you identify as an over 6 foot tall man with a chiseled torso and broad shoulders. If you're not likely to get that part. Number three, the only thing about this topic he could have possibly said that was more asinine than the previous point is, and I quote, racism is very real, but from my perspective, it's only as powerful as you allow it to be. Yeah, tell that to the people who were sprayed with fire hoses or those who were hung from trees. Apparently, if they just willed the racism away, that wouldn't have happened to them. So yeah, that's my take. We can also ask all those people who were signing petitions to block the rumored casting of Idris as the next James Bond if they care what he describes himself as. But that's the video. Thank you to those who stuck around through the whole thing. If you happened to make it to this point and you are feeling a way about this take, you definitely might want to miss the next video. It's about Shonda Rhimes and her lack of care for black couples in the TV show Scandal. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.